Welcome to Town Hall 102. It's Wednesday, May 24th, 2023. Do you know where your kids are? That's an old saying. We're going to get into it here. Let's go to the next screen. All right, so I don't see Mike, but if you see him or you hear him, let me know. But hosts of this thing are me and Mike Lawson. I am the CEO and co-founder of the Best Innovation Group, and Mike, of course, is the prolific broadcaster that brought us to broadcast, and and has been helping the industry ever since with his platform. Thank goodness, and just an all-around good guy. Let's go to the next slide. And I don't know if you see him either, but normally Glenn Sarvadi's here with us. I'm not seeing him today, but I'm sure
he planned to join us, but his power's out.
Oh, well,
so he might pop in. He might pop in when it comes back.
Yeah, that's what you get for having the power out. So yeah, we'll have hopefully he'll join back in. But anyways, I don't need any of them. I can do this myself. So I'd like to do some special thanks to the sponsors. As always, CUNA Councils. CUNA is really ramping up for a great year. I feel like they've got their stride with everything that's going on. If you haven't joined CUNA, if you're not part of CUNA and you're looking for an opportunity to interact with other people, to learn things, specifically about the industry, there is no better place than CUNA. They have a conference for everything, and if not, they have resources for everything, podcasts, blogs, just all kinds of stuff. It's a huge advocate for the movement, and we're thankful to have them as a sponsor. Our other sponsors, CU Broadcast. For those of you that don't know, that's Mike's channel. And Mike does, I don't even know how he does it. He has like 400 interviews a day somehow that he puts out there, and every one of them is worth watching or listening to. So if you haven't been to cubroadcast.com, go check it out. And then finally, my group, Best Innovation Group, which we're dedicated to support growth credit unions. If you want to come check us out, it's big-fintech.com. We recently launched a new area, which is AI. We'll talk about that a little bit today, and also a few other things. So these are our sponsors, and thanks to them. So for those of you that, I've had a lot of people just keep stopping me and asking me, what is this Innovation Club thing? And I didn't realize that I really hadn't explained it really well, but the Innovation Club is a group of credit unions that meets on a regular basis. And we go over much more in depth some of the things that we talk about here. We also work on projects together, support each other. But the real value proposition is, innovation is really a discipline. And in order to do that, you can't just sort of, anything that's a discipline, you don't just have sort of, hey, we have a budget for innovation that's 50,000 and we buy fun stuff and we look at new iPhones or whatever. It's really a discipline. It's how do you find the technologies, particularly the exponential technologies that are going to change the future of, banking, technology, which really we're kind of all technology companies at this point. And that's what we explore. We like to try to find those ingredients, and we like to work together and talk them through, find the good, the bad, the ugly. And there's been a lot of really powerful things that came through. The group was onto RPA, or robotic process automation, long before that was really a thing in the industry. We actually had the CEO of UiPath down in like 2017, I think it was. And a lot of those groups are way ahead. So that's the other thing, is we try to bring value to that. We also do a lot of data processing amongst the organization to learn a few things. So if you're interested, see if you can qualify, come take a picture of that, or just go to Big FinTech and click on the Innovation Club link. We'd love to chat with you. All right, so we'll keep going. I think I just said that, so all good. The other thing we've been working on recently for Big is support. So if you have Office 365, you know that it's not just a plug and play system, particularly as of late and something we're going to talk about here in a minute, some of the fraud stuff that's going on. It is super valuable. It is super powerful, but it does take a lot of administration. And we've been helping credit unions do this for years. We were working with Microsoft, for Azure Cloud and those sorts of things for a long time. But we found that there's a lot of folks who need this sort of administration, and it can easily be done remotely. So if you've got Office 365 and maybe you don't want to add an FTE, you want to stay lean, and you just need someone to look at it, every day for a couple hours just to check on the spam, the front door, what's been happening, going through any of the details, then call us, because that's what we do. And we've got a great team that we built in the last year and a half that does that. So super super good team, and we've gotten really, really good at it, including working with Microsoft directly. And again, you don't want your team working on these sorts of things. You want your team working on things for members. So love to hear from you if this is a need of yours. All right, now that we're done trying to pay the bills, let's get on to today's topic. So for those of you who have maybe heard about this, maybe you didn't. So in Arizona, there was a lady, and this is her, this is the mom, and she got a call, and it was what she thought was her daughter. And it was, she basically was saying that she had been kidnapped and they wanted a ransom. The voice to her was her daughter, but it turns out what this was voice cloning. And so interestingly enough, she called her daughter, and her daughter had no idea what she was talking about. She said, no, I'm here, I'm here where where I am. I'm here. And, there are a lot of other tools she could have used. Maybe, if you've seen Life 360, it tells you where your family is. But, the AI voice stuff has really, like everything else, come a long way. So what's happened is since GPT and the large language models have been introduced, we've seen a lot of things that were semi-clunky, that didn't work really well, all of a sudden just take off. And I don't know if it's the expeditious coding that's happened. I don't know if it's the techniques of the generative AI. I mean, I know some of what that is, but this has all been a combination to take a lot of things that were pretty interesting and kind of worked, but you could kind of tell who it was, and make it very, very real. The challenge with this is what's going to happen when the bad guys start using this. And we all know that we already have members who call into the call center, or we already have synthetic account takeover and people calling into the call center spoofing our actual members' phone numbers so they can defeat any Annie or anything we're doing to check there. We know that they have a lot of information about the membership, and including things like the passcodes and things like that to get through the call center as well. But what's this going to do when, particularly, there are a lot of organizations that have implemented a lot of things like Nuance or Illumina Labs, which is doing voice detection. And I'm not suggesting that this beats it. I don't know yet, but I am suggesting that if you can fool a mom, about her kid, then we're on the path to maybe something like this. And what I thought today would be interesting is to show you some examples of that. So I'm going to flip over and share my screen for a bit, and then we'll talk about it. And I'm going to show you how this is done. And I'm also going to show you, what I think kind of could come out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see it. All right. So first, before we get too far, Apple has released a voice cloning platform that they just talked about it. It's called Voice Copy. And for those of you that haven't seen it, it's a new preview that they're putting in there. This one's for the iPad, but they have a cloning voice. Here it is, that they just started off.
Apple launched AI,
and I'll just go ahead and play this real fast.
Record 150 random phrases, like 15 minutes, and you'll have a voice clone of your voice made on the device, 100% secure. This is part of their new accessibility preview release. Imagine what this can do for people with speech impediments, such as those diagnosed with ALS. We haven't really heard much from Apple about their AI updates, and it's nice to see that they're actually shipping some products that people can use. They've yet to create any ChatGPT alternative, so they're still quite behind on that front.
So Apple released this voice cloning, and one of the things that's important to note is that you have to say the sentences. And what it's for is, someone with a disability. And if that disability, if with their disability they were prevented from speaking or had a speech impediment, it could help them. So let's get started on what I'm about to show you. So first of all, you may think that this technology to do this voice cloning might be something that's kind of unreachable, like it's not easy to do. So let's just go out. So for those of you that don't know, GitHub is a place where there's just tons and tons of people working on projects and doing programming. And it's exploded lately because of ChatGPT, because now even mediocre programmers now can do a lot of amazing things. So I first looked at this platform called Tortoise. I think it was 2019 or maybe 2018. We, with the Innovation Club, I was interested in what it took to sort of do a voice clone, and we wanted to see, just what it was. We often look at things long before they're ever really something that's a big deal. So with that, this program is free. It's completely free, and it gives you all the information you need to know. So how do you do it? And rather than read all this, I'm going to walk you through it. So the first thing to note is you can use any sentences. You could just start yakking. I could grab something off YouTube. But what I did was just for this one, and I think he's on the call. Elliot, are you here? Where is Elliot? Okay, so what I did was I have one of my partners, our business partner, Elliot, who's one of the owners of Bake, read all of these lines. And so I'm going to go ahead and play it for you, and I'll show you what that looks like. So we'll go in, bring up the code here, and this is what he read. And it's not very long. It's only 39 seconds, so I'll let you listen to it.
Slid on the smooth planks. Glue the sheet to the dark blue background. It's easy to tell the depth of a well. These days, a chicken leg is a rare dish. Rice is often served in round bowls. The juice of lemons makes fine punch.
So what he did was he read these two. That's it. Now the program would like things to be in 10-second segments. So what I had to do was break these into 10-second segments. It took me, I got these files at 12:45, and because I was running a little behind. So it took me all of this long to slice them up into the 10-second segments.
The birch canoe slid on the smooth.
And you can see with smaller segments,
planks.
that's what it's looking for. It breaks it
To
down.
the dark blue background.
These are a bunch of little lists here. Now, once you're done with that, the next step is you need to process it. So while we were waiting here, I've been running it. And the way it runs, just to show you, I'm going to make it much bigger here, is that you go in and it looks like it's, oh, is it still done? No, it's done. So it's just a prompt. You might think there's some clever front end or a program, but that's not how things work these days. Things tend to be done in programming. And so understanding some programming is part of the news to be able to do this. So in this case, we're running this. It's a text. What it's going to do is it's going to say one of the lines that he already said, so we can compare them. By the way, I haven't listened to this yet. I said the fast because the preset being fast means how much time it takes to do the processing. This took about maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little less. I'm running this on a Mac that you can buy in a store. It's a M2 MacBook Pro, so it's pretty quick. It's not a cheap box, but you could also run this online, and you could do it in something called Google Colab, which is, just to show you what that looks like, I could actually run this whole program in a Colab environment. And Google Colab, what they do that's interesting is if you, for a small amount per month, you can actually go in and you can pay, even if you don't have a good computer, and you can go and pay as you go, and you can go ahead and get yourself access to in fact, this GPU here, the A100, is way bigger than the GPU that's in this machine or anything I own. And so when I run this, it tells me how many credits I've used and what the compute mutes are. And you can see I've got 500 and 278 compute units. So something like this might take, 6 compute units, maybe 8. And so if I'm a bad guy, again, my point here is this is a very reachable thing. And this is actually a different thing I'm going to show you in just a minute. So this particular program. So with that said, just know that it's not limited to someone with a really good and expensive computer. So now we're going to go in and listen to some results. So we have these Elliot results right here. And what I had him say is the same thing he said on the first one. So let's go back and play his first window first. So let's go back and play his when he said the birch canoe. So I'm going to take this all the way back.
The birch canoe slid on the smooth planks.
Okay, so that's Elliot, and that's his demonstration. This is the synthesized version.
The birch canoe slid on the smooth planks.
Not perfect, but it gave me a couple different ones.
The birch canoe slid on the smooth planks. The birch canoe slid on the smooth planks.
But is that good enough to get by someone? Well, you can see for yourself. Now, this was a very quick one that I did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run another one while we're talking, just to show you. And what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to have him say something else, which you'll see could be of value. Probably the scariest words that all of us can think of. I would like to do a wire transfer. So we'll go ahead and let this process while we talk about some other ones here. So I'm letting this run, and you'll see it'll get going here in a minute. It'll pick up and do its job. But in the meantime, I have some other finished ones that I ran before. First one I want to play for you is this one. Let's see if you can recognize this voice.
One prologue, the boy was facing him, still dancing in place, to his Discman, and managing to somehow still effortlessly block dance and let the rest of the crowd in the hallway by.
So I assume you've all heard me enough to know that
That's
that's
you,
pretty
John.
much, yeah, that very much sounds like me, for sure. Is that you, Mike?
That's me.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
But that's
So-
you. That's your voice.
it is. So here's another one. Let's play this.
I would like to do a wire transfer.
Sounds like me.
I would like to do a wire transfer.
So I can actually add what we call context.
I would
to
like
this.
to do a wire transfer.
So these all pretty much sound like me. Here's another one. This is my son. And for those of you that know
Norman,
him,
I would like to go golfing with you.
so that's pretty real close to his voice. So the point here is I could actually go through and I could grab video off of, I could grab something off YouTube, and plenty of your members have, YouTube stuff out there to do. And once I do that, all I got to do is take and pop those in here. So you can see these are what I use to train the Elliot voice. And there are, 23 files here, or actually, somewhere around there of that. When I look at mine, so this is the JB voice, I only used 10, and that was it. And you saw I got a real good. I might actually be able to, and let me just do this. They actually say that in some cases, less is more with these. So rather than doing that, let's just delete these. It'll also make the transition go faster. So let me run it again here. I'll let that go while that runs. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, while this runs, one other thing that I found very interesting. So the platform that I was running here, this is called Sovit's Fork. And what Sovit's Fork does is it's actually a model that will allow you to create you singing. And you may have heard this, and I'll just put, we'll just do a little thing here. This is called Deepfake Drake. So Deepfake Drake was a platform by this guy. His name is Ghostwriter. And this is the CBS version of it. It's 2 minutes, so I'll let them tell you about it. So let's just listen to them for a second.
At first, it's quite convincing. Creator Ghostwriter 977 claims the song is AI generated. Artificial or not, it quickly generated real numbers, over 600,000 streams on Spotify, before Drake's label had it pulled.
There was just something about it.
But it was good enough to fool this music journalist.
Give me your thoughts when you first heard this, Jacques.
I think this was one of the first times where I truly felt that I was losing my grasp on reality, because it really sounds very legit. We are vastly approaching to this uncanny valley where we're not going to be able to know what's a deep fake and what's real.
This isn't the first time it's happened to Drake. Recently, an AI cover of the song Munch prompted Drake to say on Instagram, "This is the final straw, AI."
So excited, so excited.
The power of AI has created everything from Rihanna singing Beyonce's Cup It to this artist who had Drake rapping about beans.
I don't want no kidney beans, no black beans, no pinto. I want my chili pack full of flavor.
It's definitely scary. You know, you spend as much time as possible to perfect your craft, and to know that technology has reached a place where it can literally replace you.
Renee Smith is currently touring across Canada, and she's worried about control.
If your voice is on something you didn't write and you're not endorsing that message, then that can be a very scary thing in itself.
People say it's getting too far, and, you know, it complicates our work.
We played the song for these entertainment lawyers who say artists have some options.
The use of likeness, and even the use of somebody's voice that's really indicative of who that particular personality is. Those are things that are protected.
And maybe even an upside.
There might be artists out there that want to license their voice to other creatives, and, you know, you can get collaborations that way that, you know, would never have been thought of.
As the emerging power of AI disrupts another industry.
So another artist, I can't remember her name, but she looked at this and said, nope, you guys can use my voice as much as you want, but we're going to split. So if you suddenly write a hit and you've used my voice as your voice, then we're going to split that money. But I thought this is interesting. For those of you that know me and have been around a long time, Mike, you being one of them, you know that I have a band. And you may have seen me play for many years over at Scimitar if you're an old timer. Mike, I know you've seen us many times. And because of that, you also know I am not a great singer. So what would happen if I said, hey, I'd like to be able to sing some stuff? So what I did was I went through and I created I'm gonna let this load. I decided that I need to find a band that I kind of sound like. And certainly it is not Drake or Rihanna or any of those guys. So I went a little old school. I picked an old song by the Goo Goo Dolls, and I'm gonna let this load up for a second here while that does it. I am beating on my machine a little bit. As you can see, it's still running Elliot's voice here. So that's gonna continue. But in a minute, my Logic Pro should come up. There it is. And I am going to go ahead and let me see if I got that project. Is it this one? So it's going to open it up. Yep, this is it. So what I'm going to play for you now is I took my voice, and what you saw in that Google Colab screen was me running the exact same program that the Ghostwriter, the guy with the sheet over his head, ran. So I went through and I used the same stuff that I just used to train this thing on my voice. But because I needed some serious processing power to make this happen, I actually ran it in the Google servers on that A100 so that I could make it go pretty quick. Now, once I finished that, I then went to this platform here. And what we're going to do is play a little of this. And Mike, you're my test to make sure you can hear everything. So
okay,
I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to solo this. This is just the music. You're able to hear that, right?
Yep.
Okay, and you recognize the song?
Uh-huh.
It's a old Google Dolls song.
Yep.
Now, this first vocal here that we're going to hear is actually the real singer. So I separated the vocals and the thing using a tool. So I took both of these apart. So there's the real singer. Let's turn him up.
Yeah. And I got my defenses when it comes to your.
Right, sounds like him if you know the band. Great band. Now let's listen to what it did with my voice. Keep in mind that I am incapable of singing like this. And for those of you that have seen me play with my band, you would be the first to agree.
You and I got something for it's all and then it's nothing to me. Yeah.
That's it without any effects, and that's just what it did. I did not sing any of that, not a lick of it.
What?
So Mike, does that sound like me?
In a falsetto voice, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't sing that high. Here's a lower one.
And I got my, you and I got something, but it's all.
Now let's listen to me. This is the other one.
It's all and then it's nothing to me. Yeah.
There you go.
And I got my defenses when it
By the way,
comes
I
to
didn't have
your
to give it the
intentions for me.
I didn't have to give it anything.
Yeah.
So now,
we wake up in the breakdown of the things we never thought we could be. Well,
Ooh, that was bad.
I'm not the one who broke you. I'm not the one you should fear.
This is just
We
me.
got to move you, darling. I thought I lost you somewhere, but you were never really ever there at all.
So that was crazy. And so where does this lead me while I let this Elliott piece finish here, which is actually it finished. So, oh no, it's the other one. Hang on, I'm looking at two things. So it's still going. Okay, so let's go in and talk about what we've just seen and what it might mean for the credit unions. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a new slide here. So, like anything else in the world, we know that everything moves quick, right? You could not do what I just showed in December of 22. Couldn't do it. Now you can. And so what does that mean? Well, I'm going to give a couple ideas here. The first one, and Mike, I know we talked about this before. This is going to blow your mind. The first one is that bad guys are going to use this, and they already are. And before you got on, Mike, you might have seen we talked about this, which was the voice scam in Arizona, where they used the voice cloning to voice clone a daughter and tried to convince the mom that she was kidnapped so she would pay a ransom.
Yeah.
So bad guys are going to use this, but what will they use it for the credit, right? We have to anticipate their moves. Well, I think what they're going to do is try to find high value members, right? And then they're going to voice clone them. And right now, the only way, you don't have a way to sort of just get on the phone and have a microphone on your mouth and have it me change to my voice to Mike's voice, right? Oh yeah, Johnny Resnick, he's going to be upset with me, no doubt. Hey, what do you mean, Slaymaker? Gosh, people are just picking on me and trying to help. But anyways, I didn't even sing that, so there you go. But they're going to do voice cloning. But right now they're kind of stuck with like recording a bunch of phrases and just trying to clip them together and say something, right? So, because you're actually having a conversation with a member app. So with that in mind, it's certainly right now I don't think is very usable for that. But we are just one more 6 month or maybe less revolution from being able to do what I just said, which is that guy has a microphone. And bad guy has the file for this, and let me kind of show you what that is. So what happens is when these things are processed, these programs, right? They produce what's called a path file or a file that allows you to sort of skip the processing. And so you can go in, you can put these path files in, and once you have the path file, then you don't have to have all the voices anymore. You just have basically the algorithm that created the voice is all you have. So once you have that algorithm, then you don't have to have these little 10-second clips or anything like that. Right now, it is that nobody's really turned the heavy generative AI on for that. They haven't spent a lot of time trying to make that happen. But I think bad guy's going to have a microphone. Bad guy has, a voice profile is what I'll call it, but actually it's a path file. And then they spoof the phone and they call it. Now, will this defeat, Illuma Labs and all the great systems that are out there? I don't know, not right away. I think they're going to win in the beginning, but not everybody even has these types of systems in place, the voice piece. And we already know that hackers and bad guys who are not using voice cloning are getting through, and they know enough to get through. What happens when they do this? So that's kind of one thing I think that's scary and will happen. So you can just write it down. That's coming.
Yep.
The second thing, and this is the more interesting one. So Mike, were you on when we showed the new Apple voice cloning feature?
No, huh?
So Apple's got a new voice cloning feature that they just released, and its primary purpose is for people who have lost their voice, people with ALS, people who have voice nodule issues or whatever. And the idea is that you can use it to speak to people, and more importantly, you can speak in your voice, right? But let's just talk about voice cloning, taking voice cloning, right? So, and then adding it to ChatGPT, right? And then adding that to basically what we're going to call personal AI APIs, which is coming. Those personal APIs will know things. You would set it up. And by the way, I'm talking about a legitimate use here, not a hacker use, right? So this is going to be a product, and I don't know who's going to create it, but it's going to happen. And basically, you're going to create your AI assistant, right? Now, let's go back and look at something that happened not too long ago. This is something I've played before at other decks, but let's put it into a new context, Mike. So this is, I think, Sergey from Google, and he's demonstrating something they call Duplex.
As I said earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay. So now let's put the pieces together. This is what you do. You try to be a futurist, right? You try to take the ingredients you find out there and figure out what's going to come. So now you have, so let's say that Google, and they just released Bard. They talked about all their Copilot information. We already know they have this. So now your voice AI assistant has a clone of your voice. It has the ability to sort of think, you know, at the level that ChatGPT does. It's been fed a prompt that says, you are Mike Lawson. You are the host of CU Broadcasts, a father, blah, blah, blah. You live here, you do this, this is who you are. And also, by the way, unfortunately for Mike Lawson, his voice is going to be really easy to clone. And I do plan on doing that for a future one of these. And you pay your money and you create your personal AI. Now, what would might you do with it? Well, one of the things you might do is say, today, I need you to call the credit union, and I would like you to close my checking account. Now, could it get by? Maybe. Are people going to try? Absolutely. But I think it's going to lead us to this, which is what I'm going to call, and you can say you heard it first, virtual joints. And that's not weed for those of you in Colorado. What this is a virtual joint or a virtual member who has access to your account. And so just like you would give your accountant access to your account, we're gonna have to think about what happens when we allow one of these virtual guys to have access to their account. Now, right off the bat, it's not going to be your low value members that are going to want something like this. It's going to be your high value members who, you know, have these types of tools. But think about this from a virtual switch kit perspective. You know, and so an example is something like AutoGPT. And for those of you that have not seen AutoGPT, what that does is it breaks everything into a task, and it has tools at its availability. And by the way, it looks like Elliot's done here, so we've got a new Elliot feed. Yeah, it does look like we have a new Elliot data here. So I'm going to do this reveal at the end. So, but for right now, what I want to do is I'm going to open AutoGPT, and what this is. Oops, I want to open it there. I want a new window. So I'm going to open this platform, and I want you to see what this thing's capable of for those of you that haven't seen it. So what AutoGPT does is it's a platform that basically it can reason, it has tools, it can go out to the web, it can do all kinds of stuff. So what you do is you give it sort of a prompt, and you tell it, and it's going to go off to trying to do it. And so an example is just to run it here. I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta set it up. So 1 second here. Active county list. Whoops. I learned to spell list. Let me see if I've got there it is. AutoGPT. I thought that's what it was. So I'm gonna bring it up, and once I'm in here, and keep in mind this stuff's gonna get easier and easier as time goes on. But all I got to do is run this. So I'm going to run it. And what it's going to do is it's going to, whoops, or JSON, what is that? Oh, did I, local pi. This just was running 2 minutes ago. This is what I hate. This stuff is moving so fast that it's hard to even keep up with it all. So there you go. Now let's run it again. Yep. All right. So what I have to do is I just have to tell it to, I have to tell it to basically install its libraries. It has all these little libraries it wants to use. And for some reason, they're not showing up in here. So looks like it did it. So now let's go in and run it again. Come on. Where is it here? And an easier way to do it is, since this is broken for some reason, in 2 seconds, let's just look at a video of it. So there's lots of people who have made videos of these so you can see it. So let's watch what it does.
Here, it says waiting for approval.
So what he's gonna do,
that teaches people all about the latest AI tools. And then I could just press launch right here. Now look what it does. It came up with some suggestions that I could add, like research a comprehensive list of the latest AI tools. Yes, I want to do that, or I want you to do that, God mode. Design and develop a user-friendly website, yes. And create and publish informative content about each AI tool on the website, yes. So it came up with.
So without getting too deep in this, because I want to save some time for questions, what this does is you tell it something like, I want you to research Mike Lawson and see a broadcast and create me a report on him and everything that you can find. And then it would go, okay, to do that, I need to do these 10 things. You could also say something like, I want to find the best CD rate on the web from a bank that will allow a 6-month CD. And it will surf bank sites, it'll get a list of them, it'll go to Google, and it will create you a list of all of that. The next step after that would be, you tell your digital assistant, I want to open an account at XYZ Bank, and I want to move $10,000 from the credit union to here. And I want you to do that for me. And I want you to open a CD at this great rate at this other bank. So again, maybe not tomorrow. Well, definitely not tomorrow. We know that day isn't today. But 6 months at the rate we're going, maybe even a little closer, we'll be at that tip of the spear where you'll start to see people, and I think we'll see this. And what are we going to do? And what does it even look from a regulatory standpoint? So this stuff has just been fascinating to me on how this is going to happen now. And I would bet my bottom dollar that someone has already tried this somewhere. I think they failed. I don't think it succeeded, but bad guys are pretty prolific. And I think that at some point and some, Mike, you're right. Some people may not want to give their AI your account number, but guess what? There are plenty of people that go, if it goes wild, that's not my fault.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. Yeah.
And so you take this, sometimes, I get this label sometimes of a futurist, and when I define that, I've been asked to define it, during speeches and stuff, and I always say the same thing. All it is looking at the ingredients that are out there and making common sense of it. If I gave you 2 pieces of bread, some peanut butter, and some jelly and a knife, you're not going to try to build a fence out of it, right? And that's what this is. It's very, very obvious is that somebody's either going to use this for that, or happy to let it schedule my appointments. Amen. That's where it will start, and people will gain trust with it, and slowly but surely. And then you'll have the switch kit,
Is Microsoft Copilot already doing this? Is that what Copilot's all? I haven't delved too deeply into this yet. So
what Copilot does is Copilot basically inserts itself into your email, the Excel files, into PowerPoint presentations, and it slowly, starts to you start building out a presentation, and it will start building out things. And to show you an example of that, this is what you see with code now, right? So if I go in here into this platform here, and let me just do something, make sure I have it installed. But if I go into one of these tools, we'll just grab this one, and I start typing. See how it's already giving me data there? Did you see that? It already said, okay, and look what it came up with. Open API key. You also might want to use Azure, which is really literally what you might want to do. Now, it may not have looked down to see if there's an Azure in here. There isn't, but you may want to use Azure. So, okay, then what? Give it a second, and boom. That's how long it took me to code that. So I'll point out a few things here. 1, it knew the right code to put in. 2, it even knew what I should probably put in here, which is Azure, because Azure now provides OpenAI similar services, and there isn't an Azure model in here. That's crazy. Now, if I go up here, you can see it knew that the Azure piece was here, but that's using OpenAI, not the other one. If I went here and said, okay, but do they have some new stuff? Yeah, they have a deployment ID, just came out, and there it is. That's all I had to do to add it. This is crazy. And the other craziness is, like, for example, for those of you that are Scimitar users, how long do you think it would take me to write something that could start writing power-ons for you? And, or if you're a correlation user, it already knows Java. I don't even have to train it. And I would expect, those guys are great at what they do. I expect them, both of those companies, to be looking at this. So this is very interesting on what's coming out here with this. And one thing to be aware of are these voice clones, just to show you that can even be done. So can you trust the coding? You can trust it probably as much as you can trust your coding. You wouldn't let it, notice it's not coding like a whole thing here. It's not going through and building out. It's basically, working with me as what we call a peer coder. So it's just adding things in as you go. But no, any code written by anything, whether it be a human or someone else, has to be looked at. But right now, the models don't really have anything. But if they had like Chinese ChatGPT, I don't know that I'd be using that to pop things in just because of the concerns. And so, it makes sense. But yeah, it's got a lot of opportunity to get you there. So let's go back as the final reveal here. Let's see what it did with Elliot's wire transfer. I don't know if Elliot finally made it. Elliot, are you here yet? All right, so this is a new Elliot one. It should be the wire transfer. Let's see.
I would like to do a wire transfer.
Not great because I cut it.
I would like to do a wire transfer.
That actually sounds like Elliot to me.
I would like to do a wire transfer.
So you can imagine that's with literally less than 10 seconds of video or audio from him. That's all it got, and it was able to get that close. So I'm gonna do Mike's voice, and I'm gonna post it like in a YouTube. And Mike, you can just put it up on See Broadcast or something.
Sure.
So I'll stop here, Mike. You gotta have a lot of questions. I'm sure everybody does, and let's have some discussion.
I'll let the crowd go. Yeah, because my mind's going crazy, but I'll let the audience go for it.
I saw Jonathan banging around
Jonathan's
questions.
been commenting. I know. I just see it as a great first draft tool. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about this, and like I mentioned, I've been a ChatGPT Pro subscriber for a while now, and have leveraged that. And what's really amazing to me is how quickly like even non-technical people within our credit union have gravitated towards these technologies. I've got my chief experience officer using using ChatGPT to do research. I've got my chief marketing officer using it. And it's all organic. Like it wasn't like, oh, your technology team said, oh, you should go check this out. It's no, these people heard about it and they're like, I'm just going to start using it. And so it's kind of crazy how quickly it's been adopted. I was sitting here thinking to myself, I've heard of that Tortoise library before for Python, and one of the things that I think would be a great, I guess I kind of use it as like a proof of concept wake up call in my sense is, I'd love to take that and just say, hey, risk management team, this is what the possibilities are for this. You haven't even thought about this yet, but this is what's coming, because I think that's where I worry a little bit, is that everybody knows the technology's out there. Everybody knows it's advancing really rapidly, but a lot of the people charged with protecting the organizations from fraud haven't really gotten a good idea of what it's capable of, other than what they've maybe seen, in snippets online or whatever. And to be able to take a script like that and some audio, and I was thinking even just using my voice, training it with my voice, and stringing some things together. I'm thinking about what would happen if somebody took my voice and put a phone call into our risk management team and was like trying to run like a fabricate an extortion attempt or something like that on
or how about,
the credit union.
I need you to change. This is Jonathan Silly, man. I'm locked out.
Right.
Guys, I got to get to my
Right.
stuff. Can you change my password for me?
Exactly.
Let's try it. I'll do it with you. Let's try it.
Exactly.
I'm on board.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is, you want to talk about social engineering and penetration testing. This is what your red teams are going to start using. They're going to find somebody's voice and start socially engineering people inside the organization and seeing what they can do. If they're not already, I don't know. It's just such a world of possibility with this. I just sitting here and listening to this, I'm sitting there going, wow, like what could I do this weekend with some Python and some voice recordings to sort of show my organization just what is possible.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
It's incredible.
It really is. It's one of those things that when you think about it, and I hadn't thought about, you made a great point. That's such a good way to do that with I just take your voice. I have them call into the help desk, go, hey, this is Jonathan. Guys, I'm locked out. I need someone to unlock me. I bet that's a much easier play.
Absolutely. And they're not going to question, oh, Jonathan's the CTO. He'll, that we can trust him. He wouldn't, we know his voice. It sounds about right. We're just going to assume that that's him.
Or you say, I need you to unlock the CEO's account.
Right. Yeah. They're not going to balk at that. Like,
No.
they've got something important. I got to just do this. I'm not going to question it. Even though we tell them to question everything, it doesn't work.
It's hard. Well, and it's the dice is stacked against them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, I mean, look, what we're seeing here. It's amazing that what's been going on. Hey, Jonathan, do you have access to the plugins yet?
Yeah, so I actually started using, so I started playing around. I haven't done a lot of the plugins, but I started playing with the Cloudflare plugin and just using it to say, hey, I've ongoing security threats facing, internet service providers right now. And it'll say, okay, here are the top 5 that, that are going on in the world right now, and here's why they're happening, why they're what the targets are. It's pretty awesome. That's the first plugin I've been playing with.
Cool. Yeah, I've been looking at this one. So what this one is you can have it go and look at a video, So in this case, you know, there's a lot of these videos where I don't want to watch the whole thing because there's a lot of, you know, subscribe to this. But for some reason, it's not picking up. Things just decide to break whenever I want to demo them. But let's just do chess. Chess is an easy one. So the first thing I ever tried to do with this thing was play chess, and it did not go well. So then I went through and I installed this chess piece here, which now I'll go ahead and turn these on. Now it can play chess pretty well. So it's going to invoke the chess plugin. Hopefully, it looks like the plugins might be having an issue right now. But that Cloudflare plugin is great because it tells you everything that's coming back that there are errors. Now, one thing I was actually working on that I actually almost have built is, you know how you get 10,000 alerts from everything about CPUs? So I built an agent that just reads all that email and then prioritizes it.
Oh, nice.
And with a prompt, and then just summarizes it all and says, these are the ones I think are the highest risk based on what I know about these machines. And these are ones we don't care about. Yeah, the CPU blasted to 90, but you know, this machine's not really doing anything. So 100%, I agree completely that, you know, that's a value prop for this 100%.
Yeah, and so I apologize. I have to jump off to go to a board meeting, but so happy to be back on these calls.
So happy to have you back.
Yeah, so
Welcome
this
back,
is
Jonathan.
awesome. I promise I'll be around, and I appreciate it. This is excellent.
Yeah, give me a buzz later. Let's
Will
catch
do.
up on the other stuff.
Cool.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
We got 8 minutes left, and I see Lou he's got his hand up, and so he's using the proper protocol. We have to answer him, even though he's been to Hawaii and made us all look bad. So go ahead.
So I just want to share what was going through my mind as you were going through this demo, and I think Jonathan is dead on and all over this, but Wells Fargo, I also, besides my credit union accounts, I also have Wells Fargo account for some investment stuff. And they, about a year ago, rolled out voice password. And so you have to enroll, and you enroll by saying, my voice is my password. Say it again. My voice is my password. One more time.
I like that.
My voice is my password. What's that system that they implement so I don't have to enter my 4-digit PIN or any other identifier for anything that's automated. So bill pay, things that I can do from the phone, bill pay, and I don't even know what, I never use the phone for things like this. But I'm authenticated when I call in to do things like, you know, establish a CD that's about to terminate to mature. I want that going back into my account, not renewing at some low rate. Just the things that to be able to do that. So all of a sudden the security system that a very, very large financial institution put in place is completely invalidated. Somebody steals my voice and then programs the phrase, my voice is my password, just like I said it, and they have access to my Wells Fargo account.
Yeah, it's scary.
And I just wondered if somebody is already like, and for our call center, we use VoicePrint as one of the many technologies to help kind of smooth out or make less friction interaction for people calling into the contact center. And so just for curiosity, I Googled, can AI be recognized by VoicePrint systems? And first thing that comes up in the Google search is, yeah, The Guardian posted that artificial voices have been used, VoicePrint program used by millions of Australians to access data held by government agencies shown to have a serious flaw. So that's Australia, but it's the same VoicePrint technology that Wells and many other companies are using. That's
Absolutely.
scary stuff.
So this guy who built this, and I want to show you, this guy did not make this. The guys who made this, he wasn't like some dude that had $1 million. All he did was he built this on a model that was already out there. He had 8 3090s. That would be about 15 grand. And I assume he's that kind of guy. But one thing he did do was he gave us this Tortoise Detect. And so if you look here, it says, out of concerns that this model might be misused, I built a classifier that tells the likelihood that an audio clip came from Tortoise. So that is, you know, something these companies are going to have to put in as a defense mechanism, and something we may need to be asking about. You know, same point. That's a great point, Luke. And by the way, if you want me to test your company thing, just give me a buzz. I would love to try to get through. This is fun. But yeah, I completely agree. And it's interesting because I looked up some of those. The one that caught my eye, obviously, was the Arizona kidnapping because it was so dangerous. And so cruel. But you know, if they're using it for that, I'm of the mind that I'm not that smart. If I can think of it, someone's already doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one where a kid is in jail and he calls his grandparents, and his grandparents recognize the voice, and I need some bail money to get out. Can you give me your account, your credit card number or something like that? I heard that at, I think it was a recent conference that I was at. People were talking about that one, taking advantage, kind of like elder abuse and in the financial.
Mhm.
So yeah, here's, you know, little Jimmy's in jail because he got caught speeding or something like that, and calling up, you know, the grandmother and saying, hey, I need, you know, this much to get out. Can you give me your credit card number? So
one of our things that we did with our testing was our friend who used to be on this call quite a bit, Cody. Cody has a distinct accent. It's an Indian accent. We tried cloning his voice, and honestly, his voice clone came out better than everyone else's.
Oh,
I think
wow.
he has one of those really distinct and very pure. His English is perfect. You know, but it's very much that British kind of Indian accent. And if he were here, I don't think I'm talking out of school on him. And he actually said, let's try this with my voice. I'd be interested to see if it can pick up my accent. And we didn't give it any special programming. We didn't tell it anything.
Wow.
It just did it.
Wow.
And that was 3 years ago. I don't even know what it would do now. So, and once you have that path file, you don't have to continue to do what I'm doing with the generative stuff. You can actually do what I did with the vocals, which is I could take any song and process it, and it only takes a few minutes. And if I separate the vocals, and if it's someone that kind of, I mean, you have to pick someone that kind of sounds like you. But if that's true, by the way, I didn't do any singing into that tool either. It was just all the same stuff I used to train this, which is why it comes off more like me talking than singing in the vocal. But still, what it came out with for me, just spending 30 minutes of my time, was pretty crazy.
So what's the bright side of this, John? Are there companies out there that can sense these AI voice generated voices that can?
I think that's the bright side.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah, we have it. Well, there's going to be a new market for that. I also think the bright side is, as Trish said, your own personal Jarvis. And as Jonathan said, I think there are use cases for this. I think people who have speech impediments, but did have their voice at one time, getting their original voice and tone back would be very valuable. I think that's an excellent use of it. I think Apple noted that with what they were doing with their voice cloning platform. I think that, you know, the idea that, let's say that the Cranium builds a voice, and we cut the line and we give members access to their own, here it is, you can use the Suncoast voice, assistant, and it uses your voice. No, by the way, we know you've been wanting to transfer all your money from all those different banks back to us, and we know you haven't had time. We'll take care of that for you. Just because we already do that, right? We do balance transfers. But what happens when you fill out that form and you send it over to the other financial institution? Yeah, it gets round filed, right? So, but it doesn't happen when you call.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not suggesting we would do that, but guess what? Someone will. It's could change fintech quite a bit. It's just very interesting. Very, very interesting.
It's the world we live in. Woohoo!
It is
exciting and scary at the same time.
So if you want to play with this, let me know. You can reach out to me. I just thought it would be interesting to discuss, particularly on the heels of that particular news item. And I also think we got to warn people. This has either already happened or will happen. I'm not saying they'll be good at it, but they may know something I don't know. They might even have a better way of doing this, and maybe they can't speak as that person, but maybe they can type as fast as the person who's asking questions. So they could just go, like that one you just heard. And the thing that surprised me about that Google Duplex one is where she says, okay, let me look a minute. And the other one goes, those little isms that are in there, or, you hear that kind of in between. And I know that in this program, and I didn't put it in, but if we look at this program, it'll be the last thing I show, I promise. And everybody's like, stop showing this code, go to sleep. But in this program here, one of the things they do is they do allow you to put what they call prompting in, and the prompting will allow you to sort of add in, you could tell it like, I'm sad, or I'm angry, or I'm excited. And so when you do that, that's what you're kind of getting with these 3 demo ones, is you're getting excited, angry, and sad kind of. But when you do that and it goes through, they have a way of, so not only could you be sort of typing as you go, but you could add inflection to the voice by using these prompts that were in there. So you can add sort of an inflection and say, like, okay, I'm excited about getting my new credit card. Can't wait for you to send it to my house, you know, and be able to put it in there. So there's a lot of different things out there. The other thing that's going to happen is that there are already voice models out there, pre-trained voices of other people that are starting to pop up. For example, in this model, you have De Niro. I don't know if you saw that. You have Morgan Freeman. The Morgan Freeman one is pretty good. Let's just play that real fast.
It's not God so much as afterlife. Religion is pretty much about not dying.
And so you run that and you get a pretty darn good fake of, you know, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
pretty crazy stuff. Well, with that, it is time to call it. Mikey, why don't you, I'm going to voice clone you and send it over.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Oh,
I
by
look
the way,
forward to it.
another use case is if you don't want to read your book, audio books. So there you go.
Ah,
You're an author.
very good. Very good. Awesome. Awesome.
All right. So for more information, you can check out either receivebroadcast.com. This will be posted there, as well as
Go
big-fintech.com.
big. Yeah. Righto.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.